coming back to that realization I'm having that we did go on, we approached the same door from completely different directions. We both came to recognize exactly what you were saying, that you, as the scripture would say, your life is but a vapor. You're here for a moment, and then you're gone. Like, that is, even in a Christian worldview, that is just as true of life on earth as it is for the atheist.
Yes.
And that's one of the fundamental meeting points for all of humanity. And that's something the Bible also clearly presents.
I think it's funny. I don't know if it was Robespierre directly, but during the French Revolution, during the Reign of Terror, they took over Notre Dame and they cut off all the statues' heads outside because they thought that they were the kings of France and they were just the kings of Judah. And they built a temple to reason. They ransacked the altar and put a temple. And I feel like that's what atheists want to do, where they want to make a god of reason. But I'm like, why am I beholden to care about reason? But they talk as though we have this like existential mandate to pursue truth. And it's like, what if I think I have an existential mandate to like do vodka shots? Like, I want to do Jello shots and smoke weed all day. What are you talking about? Pursue truth and rationality. I want to go like skydiving while stoned. Just like, what are you talking about? I might die in 5 minutes. Like, what are you talking about? Anyway, that was a bit of a detention, but I just find this very funny when atheists get real metaphysical about everything. And I don't want to mock anyone, but it's just, can we get into perspective, people?
Well, and the term I've always used to describe what you're talking about is science with a capital S.
Yes.
Reason with a capital R. And honestly, when I had a more cartoonish misunderstanding of the Catholic Church, I referred to the scientific community as the modern magisterium, except that it is kind of true. It does kind of, as the resident Catholic in our conversation, I guess I'm curious to get your thoughts on this, because this was very much the kind of atheism I got into. There was a book in the middle of my void time that I tried to, this was after my optimism had broken. And it was one of my earliest attempts to fill in the void with God. It was a naturalistic, it was this will sound like a contradiction in terms, because it was an atheistic God. And it was a physicist, as far as I know, a respected, published, mainstream physicist, attempted to demonstrate that there was something, I'm not a physics man. I don't remember a lot of the details, but it was something about forces in the universe came to, return to, are found in this omega point. And he spent an entire book laying out how this omega point, like, we can call this God. And it had that sense, that abstract sense you were kind of talking about of, well, why not? This kind of looks like God, so why don't we just call it God? Because then we'll feel better. And that's interesting from a Christian perspective in and of itself, because this is what you're left with when you don't have, like, an actual God to worship anymore. But it also is interesting to note that, as I recall, this guy got nuclear apocalypsed in the scientific community. Like excommunicated, I think. Or it was bad. And it was really striking that, I don't want to get conspiratorial about this, because I'm not suggesting people are engaged in a conscious conspiracy to suppress Christian thought and science. In fact, I've talked to science students at UWM, and one of them told me that he was the only agnostic in his advanced biology department, which kind of was mind-blowing. But at this point, at least, it appears that you can't bring God into the science.